The Time-Traveling Tutors. Ella stumbled upon the ancient-looking machine in the dusty school basement, her heart racing as she realized what it might be. Mark, ever the skeptic, squinted at the contraption, muttering about it being another one of Ella's wild goose chases. Sophie meticulously took notes on every dial and lever, her mind buzzing with the possibilities of first-hand historical teaching. Tom, with his tech-savvy fingers, couldn't resist tinkering, quickly discovering the machine's time-travel capabilities. The teachers huddled together, excitement bubbling as they planned their first journey to ancient Egypt. With a flick of a switch, the basement vanished, replaced by the golden sands and towering pyramids of Giza. Mark, still doubtful, muttered about mirages until a camel brushed past him, its hot breath a vivid reality check. Ella, ever the historian, eagerly approached a group of workers hauling stones, asking if she could lend a hand. Sophie's attempt to document everything led to her dropping her clipboard in the Nile, much to her dismay. Tom, fascinated by the technology of the pyramids, tried to converse with a perplexed architect. Their well-intentioned help only delayed the construction of the Great Pyramid, creating a legend of the four odd gods. Returning to the machine, the teachers debated their next destination, each one eager to explore different eras. Ella insisted on visiting the Roman Empire, her eyes gleaming with visions of ancient battles and politics. Mark, reluctantly, adjusted the machine's settings, grumbling about the potential chaos they were courting. They materialized in the middle of a bustling Roman forum, causing quite a stir among the toga-clad citizens. Sophie, ever organized, tried to map out their location, but ended up directing a legion in the wrong direction. Tom attempted to fix a malfunctioning aqueduct, accidentally flooding a nearby market, causing minor chaos. Ella's impassioned speech about democracy confused a group of senators, leading them to draft a bizarre new law. Realizing they'd caused enough trouble, they quickly retreated to the time machine, narrowly escaping capture. Mark suggested they try a safer era, like the Renaissance, hoping for a more controlled environment. They arrived in Florence, where artists and thinkers were busy creating masterpieces and challenging norms. Ella immediately found herself debating philosophy with a young Leonardo da Vinci, much to his confusion. Sophie tried to catalogue the artworks, inadvertently smudging wet paint on a future masterpiece. Tom, curious about the emerging technology, almost started a fire by tinkering with a printing press. Mark, hoping to avoid disaster, tried to stay out of trouble but ended up as a model for a botched sculpture. The teachers realized they were leaving a trail of unintentional improvements in every era they visited. Despite the chaos, they couldn't resist one last trip, this time to the age of the Vikings, hoping for adventure. The machine whirred, and soon they found themselves on a cold, wind-swept shore, greeted by a group of curious Norsemen. Ella, inspired by the setting, tried to share tales of heroism, confusing the Vikings with modern slang. Sophie's attempt to document Viking traditions led her to accidentally topple a totem pole, causing a brief uproar. Tom, intrigued by their shipbuilding, offered advice that resulted in a comically lopsided longship. Mark, exhausted, sat on a rock, only to be mistaken for a wise elder, sparking a debate among the Vikings. Fearing they had overstayed their welcome, they hurried back to the time machine, barely avoiding a Viking raid. They decided to return to their present, hoping their students would appreciate the enhanced history lessons. As the machine hummed to life, they couldn't help but laugh at the historical havoc they had unwittingly caused. Back in the school basement, they found their classrooms oddly updated with references to their misadventures. Their students were buzzing with questions about the newly discovered legends of the odd gods and wise elder. Ella tried to incorporate their experiences into her lessons, though she struggled to keep a straight face. Mark found himself unusually popular among students, who now saw him as a time-traveling sage. Sophie's meticulous notes turned into a best-selling book, The Chronicles of Chaotic Histories. Tom became the go-to teacher for all things tech-related, with students eager to hear about his Viking ship design. The teachers embraced their new roles, each one more invested in making history come alive for their students. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't resist the temptation to take just one more trip to the past. This time, they planned to visit the Wild West, hoping to observe without interfering. However, their arrival in a dusty frontier town quickly attracted attention, especially when Sophie knocked over a saloon sign. Ella tried to blend in, but her modern ideas on law and order quickly led to a bar brawl. Tom's fascination with the telegraph led to a town-wide communication breakdown, causing confusion. Mark, trying to keep a low profile, was roped into a high-stakes poker game he barely understood. Realizing they were about to cause another historical mess, they made a hasty retreat to the time machine. They returned to the present, breathless and laughing, amazed at the near miss in altering history again. The school's history department was now the talk of the town, with students eagerly signing up for classes. The teachers decided to keep the time machine a secret, only using it for the most extraordinary lessons. However, they couldn't help but wonder what other historical figures they might have accidentally influenced. Ella, ever the optimist, proposed they keep a record of their adventures for future historians to uncover. Mark, now more relaxed about the chaos, agreed, enjoying his newfound reputation as a history buff. Sophie meticulously organized their notes, making sure every detail was accounted for, even the mistakes. Tom continued to fine-tune the time machine, ensuring it was ready for their next spontaneous adventure. The teachers knew they were just as much students of history as their pupils, learning from every mishap. And so, the time-traveling tutors embraced their unique teaching style, ready for whatever the past had to offer next.